I'm taking your wife." With a smirk, a mafia man pulled my wife, Jenny, close to him. She looked at him happily. Is this what it feels like to have the person you love taken away right in front of you? My heart ached, but I forced a smile and retorted, "Be my guest." My nonchalant response seemed to surprise him. "What are you laughing at? Are you messing with me?" "No, I'm not messing around. Just one thing. I'd like to ask you a favor. Could you connect me to your boss on the phone? I'd like to say hello to Tony." And so, my hidden past was about to be revealed. My name is John. I'm a senior executive at a major company, and at 58, I'm getting ready to retire. 3 years ago, I married Jenny, in my second marriage. She's 33, a whole 25 years younger than me. We met at our regular bar, and she was the one who proposed. I hesitated at the time. It was flattering to be chosen by a young and beautiful woman like her. But I had lost my wife, Linda, in my previous marriage and had decided never to marry again after that sorrow. It had been 15 years since I lost Linda. I know you love your previous wife, but it's a waste to keep dragging the past sadness and not reach for the happiness in front of you. She would have wanted you to be happy too. Jenny said that to me. Strangely enough, that night, Linda appeared in my dreams. She seemed to be saying something, but I couldn't hear her voice. I woke up with a start, and though it was just a dream, seeing her face after so long filled me with nostalgia. The TV was still on, showing a late-night variety show, and I spent some time lost in thought. The next day, when I told Jenny about it, she smiled and said, "Actually, I had a dream about an unknown woman last night too. She was telling me to take good care of you. I immediately knew it was your previous wife. That means we're meant to be married." So that's how it was. She appeared in your dream too. All right, let's get married. I may just be a boring guy who's an executive at a major company, but I'll do my best to make you happy. What are you talking about? Being an executive at a major company is more than enough. Make me even happier. And so, we happily got married. My son and his wife even came from far away to attend the wedding. I'm happy you've decided to get married, Dad. I've always been worried about you. Now, Mom can rest in peace too. It seems I had even been a concern to my adopted son, Leo. Indeed, marrying Jenny was the right choice. From now on, I'll walk this second chapter of life with her. I swore this in my heart. Just having someone welcome you home can make a person feel happy. For a washed-up old guy like me, having a young woman greet me makes life worth living. Welcome home, John. Right on time. Dinner's ready. Would you like to take a shower first, or do you need me first? I hugged her shoulder as she greeted me so sweetly. Thanks as always, Jenny. I'll change and then have dinner. She replied with an okay, and went back to the kitchen. When I went to the dining room after changing, the table was filled with a variety of dishes. She always prepares homemade meals like this, but for an older guy like me, it's too much food. It's lavish as always, but I can't eat this much. You don't have to go to all this trouble, you know. As I said this, her face clouded over like a gloomy sky. Don't you like my cooking? I worked so hard on it. Wah. And then she started crying like a downpour. Regretting my words, I rushed over to her in a panic. That's not it at all. Everything you make is delicious. It's just me, not as young as you, Eileen, so please don't cry, okay? Hearing my words, she immediately stopped crying. She's a hard worker, but sometimes she just breaks down like this. Still, these moments are counted among the joys of happiness. To me, Jenny is irreplaceable. Though she may cry, she hardly ever gets angry. However, there was one time when she exploded in anger like never before. It happened when I came home without notifying her in advance. Before we got married, we had set some rules between us. Or rather, they were mostly suggestions from Jenny. One of them was, always report your arrival time when coming home. Apparently, she's quite punctual and likes to have the meals ready and the house clean by the time I get home. So, I made it a point to report my daily schedule every morning before leaving the house. However, on that day, my plans finished early, and I was about to get home an hour sooner. When I reached the nearest station and called to say I'd be home soon, Jenny burst out in anger like never before. You're coming home now, but there's still an hour left until your scheduled time. I was taken aback by her intensity. Sorry, my work ended early. Maybe I should have called sooner. That's not the point. Would you tell a client you were coming an hour early just because you caught an earlier train? They have their own schedules too. It's rude to change times based on your convenience. I was taken aback by her perfectly reasonable argument. You're right. The other party would have their preparations. Exactly. So, find something to do for an hour and then come home. Sticking to the scheduled time is crucial. I couldn't believe I had to find a way to kill time just to go home, but I swallowed my words. Well, if you think about, for a housewife like her home is her workplace. Indeed, her point was entirely valid. I was wrong for not considering your situation. I'll find something to do and come home in an hour. Then, she packed away her anger as if it never happened and replied in her usual sweet voice. Thank you for understanding. I'll be waiting in an hour. Just don't kill time in any sleazy places, okay? Haha, I swear I won't. Her strictness with time was a testament to her serious commitment to her role as a housewife. I never doubted that. In fact, I wondered how many wives would go to such lengths for their husbands. Feeling grateful, I embraced the warmth of her dedication. During this time, I was assigned to go on a business trip overseas by the president. There seemed to be an issue at one of our factories abroad, and I was asked to bring a few team members and resolve it. I was chosen because I'm fluent in several languages. Back in my youth, I had traveled abroad with just a backpack, learning not only Spanish but also the local languages. An overseas business trip sounds tough, especially for 2 weeks. Jenny said with a concerned look after hearing about it. The 2 weeks is just a minimum estimate. It might get extended. I can't return until the problem is resolved. If it does get extended, I'll let you know right away. Okay, take care. It's dangerous overseas. Thanks for your concern, but I'll be fine. You should take this time to relax too. How about going on a trip with your friends? That sounds nice. I'll think about it, she said, smiling brightly. And so, I headed off on my business trip. But, when I arrived, the issue had calmed down significantly, and we resolved it within a week. I immediately emailed Jenny about the situation and started my journey home. Though the work was easier than expected, returning from abroad is still quite tiring. Dragging my heavy suitcase, I made my way home. When I arrived, something felt off, and I paused in front of the entrance. For some reason, I felt I shouldn't open the door just yet. Perhaps it was because I had emailed about my early return but received no reply from her. Thinking she might be enjoying her day off undisturbed with a friend, I refrained from sending any more messages. Or maybe, she had gone on a trip and wasn't home. Exhausted, I quietly opened the front door and entered the house. Only to encounter an unexpected situation. Seeing an unfamiliar pair of men's shoes at the entrance was surprising enough. But as I approached the dining room door, I heard Jenny's voice along with that of an unknown man. I peered through the gap in the door. Come on, it's your turn, Mark. Hurry up and play. It's your fault for stopping me. I can't go anymore. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. I didn't want to think it, but could she be having an affair? The thought raced through my mind. It's not me, just hurry up. You're wicked, you know that. Take this. Ugh. Hearing her scream filled with delight, I barged into the room, surprised at my own actions. Whoa, who are you? The moment he saw me, he scattered the playing cards he was holding across the sofa table. John, why, you're not supposed to be back yet. She also let go of her cards. Laid out on the table were cards arranged for a game. It seemed they were in the middle of playing a card game. But given the situation, they were probably up to more than just that. The man, who seemed like her affair partner, suddenly grinned and said, looking at me, "So, you're the husband. You do look as pathetic as she said." And then, as if to show off, he pulled her close to his body. "I'm taking your wife." The man wore a tank top and had a surprisingly good physique upon closer inspection. My instincts told me he wasn't living a respectable life. "What are you staring at?" "It's nothing. By the way, are you in the mafia?" I asked the manual. "What's it to you?" "Well, whatever. I'll tell you since you asked. I'm from the Luciano family." The Luciano family, that's the new organization that branched off from the Stefano family, right? "Wow, you know your stuff, old man." Ginny cut in. "Hey, don't just ignore me and carry on with your conversation. And John, did you forget our agreement? You're supposed to stick to the scheduled time when you come home. It's your fault for coming back at a weird time." What kind of reasoning is that, I thought. Was her insistence on timing just to ensure I wouldn't come home while she was cheating? I did send an email, see. That's when I realized. The email I thought I had sent to her was still in the outbox. Unsent due to poor signal. I'm sorry, I thought I had sent it, but it seems it didn't go through. However, she only sniffed him and did not get angry like before. You would have been happier not knowing. To tell you the truth, I never loved you from the start. I married you only because you were a well-off executive at a large company and an easygoing person with money. What a pity," he said, holding Jenny's shoulder with a triumphant look. I had no words to retaliate against this man named Mark. After all, it was clear that a beauty like her wouldn't stick with an old guy like me for anything but money. It was something I could have realized if I had thought about it a little. Still, I couldn't hide my frustration. "But you always kept the house clean and prepared homemade meals every day, didn't you? Are you saying that was all a lie too?" Then, she burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, you're really too naive. Cleaning can be done by calling a housekeeper, and the meals are already made. Ever heard of catering services? They deliver delicious meals every day, and all I do is heat them up. So, even those meals weren't homemade. From today on, I'll be taking care of Jenny. Poor old man, betrayed by his wife. You'll live in this house alone," he boasted proudly. Even though it was regrettable that she never loved me, I felt a need to show some defiance against the man who was taking away my wife. "Be my guest." "Eh," I replied with a smile on my lips, which seemed to confuse him. He probably expected a pitiful reaction like, "Please don't take my wife away." "What are you laughing at? Are you messing with me?" "No, I'm not messing around. Just one thing. Could you put me on the phone with your boss? I'd like to say hello to Tony." Upon hearing his boss's name, he visibly tensed up. "Jenny being with you means she'll be with the Luciano family. I thought it best to apologize in advance for any trouble. So, please, make a video call so I can see his face too. You know the boss. Tony and I go back a long way." While saying this, memories of the past came flooding back, though they weren't pleasant ones. Just thinking of his face made me frown. I noticed Mark staring at me with a strained look. Is there something on my face? I also realized that her behavior had been strange for a while. She was looking at me as if she had seen something terrifying, her expression frozen. "All right, I'll connect you to him. Tony likes me, so he'll answer right away." He handed me the phone. True to his word, the other side picked up almost immediately. "What's up, Mark? Making a video call. Did something happen?" The voice that came from the other side was unmistakably Tony, deep and menacing. "Hello, Tony. It's me, John. Long time no see. I never thought we'd get to talk like this." Seeing my face, he turned pale instantly. "John, you're alive." His voice trembled. Of course it would. Our past wasn't something to be proudly shared with others. It's been over 2 decades since I decided to lead a normal life, to marry my previous wife, Linda. I never wanted to get involved with the mafia again, but perhaps this was fate. And I haven't forgiven Tony. Looking him in the eye, it made me clear. "I'm glad you remember me, Tony. Of course, I'm alive. I've fully integrated into society, now an executive at a large company. I thought I'd never have to see the faces of you lowlifes again, but life is full of surprises." I almost slipped back into my old self. No, I made a promise to Linda. No matter how much anger wells up within me, I swore to part ways with my former self. I first entered the world of the mafia when I was 18. It was Alex, a high-ranking member of the Stefano family, who picked me up when I was nothing but a troublemaker in the streets. He saved my life when I was beaten to a pulp after picking a fight with 20 people on my own. "You remind me of my younger self. You've got guts, taking on 20 people like that. Come with me, I'll at least feed you." I wasn't the only one he saved. He was well regarded for taking care of lost youths, earning the loyalty of many underlings, including Tony. However, unlike me, he was ambitious. "One day, I'll become the boss, and I'll make you my right-hand man." He would always say such things to me. At the time, the Stefano family was known for being the largest mafia organization in the country. That's why they valued even a young nobody like me. It's embarrassing to admit now, but I did all sorts of dirty work, like collecting debts while yelling and forcing bad payers in the nightclubs we ran to cough up their wallets by stepping on their feet. After all, doing bad deeds is the bread and butter of the mafia. I knew none of what we did was praiseworthy. But Alex, a true mafia man, was a good person to me. I didn't have any decent adults around me. My father, who succumbed to alcohol and became abusive, and my mother, who left me behind to run away with another man. I trusted Alex more than any of them. And so, I stayed in the world of the mafia until I was over 20. But at some point, an unsettling atmosphere started to spread within the organization. The increase in members led to the formation of factions, causing friction among them. Being a low-ranking member, I wasn't directly involved, but it seemed Alex was caught up in the factional disputes. Tony, aiming for a higher position, seemed to be scheming to use this situation to his advantage. Although Alex was beloved by his underlings, he was not well regarded by the higher-ups, because he was too compassionate for a mafia member. As time passed, the nature of mafia work also changed. To make money, they would exploit and dispose of ordinary people when necessary. Alex opposed such methods, appealing to the boss for the mafia's pride, but, "Alex, I've heard you've been getting a lot of flack from the top. You're always going against the organization's wishes. That won't get you promoted or make you any money." Tony, always eyeing the top, was well informed about the movements among the members. He kept me updated on the internal situation of the organization. And then, one day, it seems he is going to be ousted from the organization. He's lost quite a few underlings too. You'd better distance yourself from Alex before you get dragged down with him. Ousted, as in, taken out. No way. Alex has always worked for the organization. Even boss treated him like a son. There's no way he'd be ousted." Then, Tony laughed and said, "It's the boss who said to oust him. Alex is too rigid. You can't make money without being flexible. Mafia is not all about making money." I couldn't help but lash out in anger. Seeing my reaction, he seemed a bit flustered as he said, "Calm down. You're too biased towards Alex." "What are you talking about? Didn't he help you too?" "Help me? You can think that if you want, but he just wanted to increase his pawns. He was nice to us just to control us the way he wanted." At that moment, I found myself grabbing him by the collar. It was probably then that he started seeing me as a threat. Not long after, Alex was found in a drastically altered state. It was the work of a rival mafia from a neighboring country. Alex was rumored to have been colluding with them, funneling organization resources their way. I never thought Alex would be guiding those guys from the neighboring country. He was even plotting to take over the organization, they say. His words left me beyond anger. That's a lie. He told me some of the higher-ups were connected to the neighboring country. They were the ones planning to take over. Alex was actually trying to stop them. Forget about Alex already. Tony, you ingratiated yourself with those executives connected to the neighboring country, didn't you? Did you betray Alex? He didn't answer my question and just disappeared quietly. And then, one night, I was attacked by several men in masks. Around the same time, the Stefano family was involved in an internal conflict that led to a shooting incident, resulting in many casualties. This incident led to police intervention and the organization splitting into several factions. One of those factions was later led by Tony, becoming the Luciano family. As for me, attacked by those men, I fought back fiercely, like a demon, managing to defeat them and even extracted Tony's name from one of them. It was shortly after this incident that I set off on my backpacking journey. I intended to stay abroad for a while, letting the heat of the conflicts cool down, but I ended up enjoying the travel far more than I expected. Looking back, I realize I had always lived in a confined world. Experiencing entirely different languages and cultures, I felt like I washed away the grime from my mafia days. During my travels, I met Linda. She was the daughter of a corporate president, a person from a world entirely different from mine. Yet, knowing my past, she treated me just like anyone else without changing her demeanor. It was the most moved I had been since meeting Alex. Eventually, we fell in love. Thanks to her, I managed to find work at a large corporation after returning home and had a happy marriage, all thanks to her. But there was one price that God demanded. I actually have an incurable disease. It's something that can't be fixed with modern medicine, and I won't live long. I can't have children either. Would you still marry me? When she told me this, I was stunned. Not because it was unfortunate. Despite facing such a cruel fate, she chose to live earnestly, looking forward, while I, abandoned by my parents, had sulked and caused trouble. I was shocked by my own pettiness. After that, I laughed for her, cried for her. The time we lived together was filled with joy, making the loss of Linda unbearably painful. I thought I would never marry again. But thanks to a dream about Linda, I was able to marry Jenny. Even though things turned out this way, it was due to my own immaturity. Tony, I'll let go of the past. Holding a grudge for what happened in the mafia world is pointless. Jenny will be in the care of your subordinate. Mark, please take care of her. I pleaded with Tony. Well, if that's what you want, I'll follow through, yeah. Thank you, Tony. Saying this, I handed the phone back to Mark. Let's go, Jenny. He pocketed his phone and urged Jenny to leave. But then, something unexpected happened. Hey, get your hands off me. I'm not going anywhere with you. acting all familiar just because you're a fling. She pulled away from Mark and came towards me. Coming back a week early. You must really love me. Wait while I make us something to eat. Or do you want to take a bath together after so long? Mark was more surprised by her words than I was. What are you talking about? You've been trash-talking this old man up until now, saying he's boring and has no charm other than his money. What era are you living in? Don't you get it? The timeline has changed. Just go home, and don't ever come back. Being associated with the mafia is nothing but a negative in this day and age. He was furious. What did you say, you damn woman? Without this old man, you couldn't even survive, and you have the nerve to talk back. As he raised his voice and advanced on Jenny, I instinctively grabbed his arm. Stop it. Don't be cruel to her. What are you saying, man? Are you insane? She's the one who treated you the worst. Don't you have any pride? Without hesitation, I twisted his arm. Ouch, stop it. Let go. He seemed to be in good shape, but he wasn't as strong as he looked. He might even be weaker than the guys I fought in my youth. If someone like him is making a big deal in the mafia, then the Luciano family can't be much. I released Mark as he demanded. What's wrong with you? You're crazy. Don't you ever show your face in front of me again. I wanted to say the same to him. Then, he ran out of the house as if fleeing. Hey, you forgot your playing cards. I quickly gathered the cards and tried to follow him, but he was already out of sight. I thought his speed in fleeing might be the fastest I've ever seen. After that, my married life with Jenny resumed. Perhaps because my past was exposed, she started to manage the household even more perfectly than before. John, I tried making meatloaf today, and no, it's not from catering. Seeing her trying so much for my sake made me feel a bit guilty. Jenny, you don't have to try so hard. Besides, I think you should be with someone you truly love. Are you still worried about Mark? I don't care about him anymore. Didn't you know? He got arrested by the police recently. Haven't you seen the news? Is that so? I hurriedly searched the internet. Indeed, there was an article about the Luciano family being under police investigation, and many of its executives were arrested. It's true. The crackdown on the mafia is really strict these days. The times no longer need the mafia, it seems. I thought of Alex and felt a mix of emotions. Seeing me like that, she became serious. John, I'm really ashamed of my past self. I was so focused on money and disregarded your feelings. I'm truly sorry. She apologized. What's this all of a sudden? I'm not mad anymore. It's not about whether you're mad or not. I felt I needed to apologize, and I have another big lie to confess. Is there something else? I was taken aback. Actually, I never had a dream about your previous wife. I just said that because I wanted to marry you, but I knew how important she was to you, and I felt I had to apologize. Of course, the dream story was why I decided to marry you, but it turned out well. I think Linda would be happy for us too. Then, Jenny shrugged and smiled, saying, "Thank you for forgiving me." That night, Linda appeared in my dream again. I immediately spoke to her. You were right. Marrying Jenny was a good decision. Despite everything, we're happy now. Thank you for pushing me forward back then. But Linda shook her head. I was actually against the marriage at that time. She had no love for you. What? I'm surprised. You must have fallen asleep with the TV on, so you couldn't hear me, but I'm relieved to see things are going well now. Her love seems genuine. I wish you both happiness. And then I woke up. Next to me, Jenny was sound asleep, drooling a bit. I never had a dream about Linda again. We would meet again, but that's a story for another time. A year later, we were blessed with a baby girl. I never imagined I could have a child at my age, so it was a complete surprise. Well, it might not even be my child, but even if the child in your belly isn't mine, I'm happy that I can raise a child with you. I tried to say it jokingly, but Jenny got angry. What are you talking about? This child is undoubtedly ours, yours and mine. If you don't believe me, shall we do a DNA test? Sorry, I didn't mean to doubt you at all. I just wanted to say that I'm happy, no matter the path we've taken, that this child has come to me. That's right, it's our path, yours and mine. She was even more upset and hit me. Ah, it moved, she said while stroking her swollen belly. It must be worried about us arguing. Then, we looked at each other and laughed, feeling the shared desire to make the life coming into this world happy.